In this episode, I sit down with Chebbo and we talk what it takes to be at the top of the social media game. One of the things I loved about him was at the young age of 23, truly has some incredible business insights. And I think his story and his context, where he's come from, really paints a picture as to why. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. Chebbo.
What's going on?
Welcome to Chew the Fat.
Thank you, pleasure to be here.
Now you are a very large Instagrammer, TikToker, 1.4-ish million combined.
Yeah.
A lover of fine, greasy, dirty, delicious burgers.
How it should be.
And an all-round legend. Today, we've got a Philly cheesesteak, my first ever. A little bit of pressure, have a bite.
I've been eyeing it out for a while, so and it smells good, so I think you'll be fine. What's the sauce on top?
So I made a fresh aioli, and I did everything I got to do. I got to add a little bit of myself in there. So I did a little spicy. It's like a spicy, sweet, zesty aioli.
I can smell that through.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good.
And you mentioned you baked the bread yourself?
I didn't this time, so you.
I was going to give you extra points, but either way, it's delicious.
I would love to steal it. It's my favorite bakery down the road. I had a dough ready to go, and I hadn't prepared it early enough. And I looked at it, and I was like, I can't serve you bad dough. It just doesn't feel right. So, where I'd love to start is why Chebbo's Burgers. Like, what got you into it?
Funnily enough, Macca's. So I used to work there when I was, I think, as soon as I hit 14 and 9 months, I applied. I applied to KFC first, they rejected me. So then I went to Macca's. And when I was there, number one, I always had an element of just having pride in what I do. I mean, funnily enough, we've all been to Macca's, we've all had burgers with the bun here, the meat there, the other bun there, the sauce on the side. But inside of me, I just couldn't help serve up burgers that weren't up to standard. I'd always have that, I guess, extra care. I don't know why. I guess because I'm a food enjoyer, having that empathy for the customer, even though I wouldn't see them. But while I was there as well, what really, I guess, got things into motion was being there for the Create Your Taste range.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
When it first came out, before they, I guess, molded it into the normal menu, it was this own separate thing.
Yes.
And still, with my experience after all these years making burgers, I'd still say it was like one of the best I've ever had.
That's so cool.
The meat still came frozen, but the way it was cooked, it was seared, it was flipped, seasoned differently, the aiolis, the sauces, the toppings. It was a whole separate station where we got to take all these like elaborate creations by the customers and make them. And that was, like, I guess, my first step into the world of like burgers and taking them up to another level.
Yeah.
And then after leaving Macca's, my passion for just, eating food developed. And whenever we'd make burgers at home, I'd always tell my mum not to make mine so I could do it myself and dress it up this way and that way. And then that transitioned to inviting friends over, cooking for them, cooking for my sister and then her friends and her birthday parties. And I was like, you know what, I'm enjoying this. Why not make a business out of it? And so the plan was, after I finished uni while having my corporate accounting job, to start a burger business and do it on the side, probably once a month or so for some extra pocket change.
Yeah.
And that's how it started.
That is very interesting. So what I love there is as you started speaking about Macca's, there was a genuine smile on your face. Like, I feel like you took me back to the moment of you making those Create Your Creations. That's cool. And it's interesting, something I've never shared, Kai will never know this, I started at Red Rooster and I had the same amount of passion for making those burgers. It didn't end up taking me into the burger world, but I remember really caring. Really caring about like the right lettuce ratio and stuff like that. It's super interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, you have people who go in there and throw things together, but I think it reflects more on the person and their, I guess, potential. I don't want to say like for life or in the workplace, but like just being able to look at something so simple and take pride in it. I mean, my room's messy. I'm not saying, I'm a complete military Navy SEAL on the ball in every aspect of life, but with work, it was that sense of pride where I'm sure both you and I having that, it's helped us out now.
That's very cool. And you touched on there the accounting degree. So tell me, so obviously I understand, I guess that took over more passion, but how was that transition? Did you ever go get a job in that workspace?
Yeah, so in uni I was fortunate enough to land like a scholarship where we had 2 internships in the field. And so I'd worked at Coca-Cola and then Westpac. Awesome. And so I had mad experience in the industry, networking, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was great, but that wasn't what I wanted. I was always interested in business, which is why I chose the accounting degree.
Yes.
But it was playing it safe. Both my parents, they were immigrants. They're the hardest workers I know. And because of what they told me growing up, uni was just the only way to go because it was so safe, so secure, and it was an opportunity that if presented to them, they would have taken, but they didn't. So I'd done it and I'd graduated, but I just felt like there was something more. And so when the opportunity for the burgers, for the social media popped up, I was like, it's my ticket out. And so I ran with it.
And bring me to that moment. What was that? Was there a light bulb moment? Was it like, what happened that got you to start the social media piece?
Social media, so TikTok, funnily enough, I didn't start it to advertise my business. So originally it was something that my sister downloaded and she was talking about with her friends. I'm like, get out of here, this TikTok app, like it's so cringe. I'm cooler than you, I'm 2 years older than you. And so I ended up downloading it, funnily enough, and then getting hooked, as I'm sure everyone else and I guess the viewers can agree. And I was like, you know what, it's pretty awesome. There was a guy from my high school, his older brother, going viral for doing, the talk box. It's like the tube in the mouth where they play the piano.
Oh, yeah.
So he was going viral and I was like, that's pretty cool. He's like from my community and he's gone viral. So I was like, you know what, maybe I can do something. So I posted comedy videos. I posted like 5, but every single time I post one, I deleted them right away because I'm like, all right, my mom's gonna see this, so embarrassing. So those did not last, as I'm sure we can tell. Then I was like, you know what, he's doing talkbox. He knows how to play instruments. I know how to make burgers. Why don't I just make burgers? And so once again, with no intention to like promote my business, Chebbo's Burgers, which had already been started at the time.
It's already started. So the business came first.
Yeah, business came first by around 3 months, but we'd only held 3 pop-ups 1 month before.
Yeah.
So I started posting a challenge where I was going to be posting a burger every day until I was TikTok famous. And so that one, it was a good way to, number 1, get the reps in.
Yes.
Number 2, build a community, and then build like a shared mission between myself and the audience. So people would see this guy making a burger every day, day 1, or what's he gonna do for day 2?
Yeah.
And so that was how I got things going. And we touched on before, we were speaking about people iterating and building on each other on social media. I chose that challenge because the guy from high school, his brother was doing a challenge called playing the J. Cole tune Until I Get Verified.
Yes.
I was miles away from being verified with 2 followers on my account. I was like, all right, let's tweak this a bit and then make it my own. And so that's what I did. And it lasted 75 days or so. But so far, I like to say mission accomplished.
Yeah, sick. And what was that moment where you're like, I think I've accomplished it?
I'll touch on first a moment where I knew I had something going. So Mr. Beast, I'd heard this before I started. He'd said that he posted like 250 videos or whatever without seeing any progress. And I'm like, all right, Mr. Beast is where he is right now, and he did this starting up. I should have the same attitude. I'm just going to post every single day, even if I don't get any progress, and then I can quit after 200 days. That's fair enough, because if after 200 days you're still not clicking, there's something not right in the formula. And so that's what I did. But lucky enough, by day 3, I posted a video, and that one I posted at midnight. I woke up the next day for work at like 7, maybe 6:30. I checked my phone, 400,000 views.
Oh, what?
And
on your third one?
Yeah, on my third one.
Shit.
But you're probably thinking, wow, everyone just loved this burger. No, so it was a burger that I made, remaking the Macca's cheeseburger.
Yes.
But this speaks to how much I didn't know at the time and how much of a, leap of faith I was taking. I didn't know how to use a phone camera besides taking selfies in the mirror at the gym after a chest session. That's all I use my phone for. And so why I'm saying that is because I'd filmed the video in app. And so with TikTok, you're not taking separate clips and putting them together. Yes. You're recording one massive, file. And so I'd recorded myself squirting mustard, and mustard water came out instead of the actual mustard. But at that point, I didn't know how to delete the clip. So I'm like, shit, man, what do I do? So I just left it in there. Yes. So I did a mustard water spray, then a mustard spray. And I'm like, you know what, it is what it is. I'm just getting my reps in, I'm just gonna post it. And so all the comments were like, what's this guy doing? He's so disgusting, mustard water guy. And that stuck around for like months after, but I did not care at all. I saw the 400,000 views, and I was freaking out. I was replying to everyone in the comments, like I was on lunch with my friends, and ignoring them all, just replying to comments, because I was like, this is a gold mine, I've got this. And to get back to the question, I felt like I made it once I got verified, and that was pretty early, I think 125,000 followers.
Wow.
But that's thanks to a couple of friends in the industry who put me in contact with some reps at TikTok and got that going. But yeah, that one was an awesome moment.
That's awesome. Okay, so today I'm having chew the fat with the mustard water guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love that.
OGs can relate.
That's so good. Now, as I hear you talk, what's really interesting is that I'm starting to hear, you just touched on something there, like people in the industry. You touched on Mr. Beast, and you touched on these different things. I'm getting a sense that, and also with your accounting background, yes, you gave it a go, you get the reps in, but I'm getting a sense like there was a little bit of formula, you're trying to learn, you're trying to absorb. Would that be right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, while it is true that you need the reps and to just get in there and grind it out, you also need to be smart with your approach. So we all know a person who's done something for forever and it seems like they've made no progress. We know someone who's done something for much shorter and they've made the progress. And so anything that I do back then and even now is just constantly testing. So the way I don't know if it's A/B testing, that's the right term, but even now when I post a video, I'm like, all right, I'm posting a video with a voiceover, with this kind of intro and with this kind of outro. Let's see how it'll go. And then it'll do well. I'm like, all right, sweet. I'm going to post the exact same one tomorrow. See how that's going to go. And so each time, that's the point of the reps. You're not just getting reps in. I mean, obviously you're learning the skills that relate to the process with the reps, but to maximize the efficiency of your effort, it's the smartest thing to do. And so yeah, there needs to be a method to that kind of madness.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool, man. And so take me, and I apologize, I skipped ahead, but take me back to the food truck. Like what was the thinking behind it? Like what was the vision for that business, and like how did it start?
There was no vision. Like I said, it was just something for some extra pocket change on the side. So ideally the food truck was meant to be something that I retired on at 60. Because I always enjoyed making food from like a Middle Eastern household as well. Food's a big part of our culture. And I'd always been a bit entrepreneurial. But when I had the thought to just do it earlier, I was like, all right, sweet, let's do that. And luckily, well, not luckily enough because it was COVID. So COVID hit and we all know what happened there. And that was March 2020. The government issued a statement saying that all food vendors can now trade from their own private premises. I was like, all right, beautiful. So I wasn't even a food truck at the time. I was a Bunnings 3x3 marquee with Bunnings grills and those white plastic tables. So it was a very dodgy setup. But that's what we did. So at the same time that I started posting the TikToks, I was also setting up in my driveway on the Friday and Saturday nights to make the burgers. And mind you, this was while I was working the 48 hours a week at my internship, working from home on Zoom, and then doing a few shifts at Bunnings in between. So I had a lot going on, but that's how I like to work when I'm in my zone. And that's what I was doing. So Friday, Saturday nights, and we started off I think 50 burgers the first weekend, like the whole weekend. I was like, oh look, we'll see how we go. But there was this awesome organic funnel. I want to say intentionally or not really intentionally, but because attention was coming to myself and my TikToks, people would then stalk as they do, and then they'd come across Chebbo's burgers. And then sometimes I'd film the burger every day from the tent while doing that. And so it was this cool funnel where I'm not selling anything, but if you like the content, I wasn't even telling people to come, but they were coming. And so we started off 50 burgers a weekend, and then each week selling out, growing bigger and bigger. I think we capped out at 300 a night. And that's out of a Bunnings marquee, and people were waiting 2 hours for burgers. And as much as I love myself and my burgers and the business, 2 hours was, but people were still waiting. And so I was like, all right, sweet, thank you guys so much. And people that I meet to this day, just run into in public, they'll be like, yeah, I came. I'm like, when did you come? They're like, oh, when you had it at your house. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Because I knew they would have waited that long out and eaten a burger from a Bunnings barbecue. But I mean, that's part of the process. Like I feel like if you're looking back and cringing, that's good, because I don't think I'd have it in me today to just take that kind of risk. But once you're in that zone, you do anything that you can to just make it possible. And so we kept going, saving up, bought the first food trailer, and it wasn't even ours. We'd bought it off a friend who had it set up for kebabs, but we just needed something ASAP. So we bought it, we sent it back to the manufacturer, he turned it into like a burger truck. Came back, had that for a year. Now we have the truck, and then now we're building our first store in Marrickville. That one's a bit overdue, bit of council issues, construction, not my specialty, but things are going very well, and I've got some good legs for the future. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool, man. There's so many things that I want to drill into, but I think that the biggest theme I'm hearing is like, and I'm imagining from what you've said, it's around that like the immigrant background in terms of you come to Australia, you're like you got to make ends meet. You're learning from your parents around hard work, and I can see that oozing from you. You know, from the outset, someone might look in and go like, oh yeah, he's making some burgers on TikTok. I'm like, no, this guy's working hard. You're putting in the effort. Like you said, you're 40 hours working plus Bunnings shifts.
Yeah, Bunnings, I do 1 or 2 sometimes after like a Wednesday night or on a weekend.
Plus trying to get your 1 day, your 1 per day TikTok, and you've got this bad boy happening in the backyard. Amazing.
Yeah, it was a very intense time.
So cool. And so do you have a team? Like, do you have people, like family members, people you trained up to do it? Like, what did that look like?
I mean, at the time, so for the Chebbo's Burgers business, I'm pretty much the only one in the head office, and that's like fine. It's the workload at the moment I can handle. On the floor, it started off just my sister and some cousins helping me out, and even some of them still working with me to this day.
Epic.
And yeah, family, it wouldn't have been possible without them. There's so many times like we'd run out of buns and my mum would go to Woolies and grab some, and there's so many like chaotic moments in time in that come up period where it had been so rough, but like my family would come to the rescue. So it's I've put them through a lot with this business, even just selling burgers in the driveway, and then I'm just like running back to grab something from the kitchen, like covered in grease, and my mom's got guests over. Like, it was so invasive, but I mean, that's like the price of it, and they helped out so much. And yeah, like you said, just the immigrant background, like my dad's a hard worker, it's got to get done. Came here driving taxi and then ended up driving limo and just provided so much for us. Mum's same thing, work ethic and a bit more of the creative side. So I think we've got a good synergy of like the creativity, artistic side from mum, and that like just get it done, work ethic from dad. And yeah, it's that all round gratitude where I've still got family in Lebanon right now where they're not doing the best. The economy there is rough and we all know what's going on in the Middle East right now. So it's a blessing to have this kind of opportunity and platform and to use it and make the most of it, because I mean, it'd be a shame if not.
Totally, and it's awesome to see you going through and making it your most, because like that's something we share, you know, so, and that's why I touched on the immigrant background, is I'm from South Africa, and my parents came and I got to see the hard yards and they same kind of, we share that same sentiment. You know, you truly know what work is when you see your parents, like they packed up their entire lives in a suitcase and literally for a better life. So
without a word and giving their entire existence just for your sake.
It's a beautiful thing. Now, something that I saw in your face when you said the word chaos, I saw the spark. I want to drill into that. Bring me to like, what was the most chaotic, if you think about those memories we've just talked about, bring me to the most chaotic moment that people would be like, oh.
Yes, I'm laughing about it now. So there's 2 that come to mind. One of them, I think, was our first or second time. So first or second pop-ups, this was 2019 towards the end. And I was still 19 at the time, so I'm born in 2000. And so I did not have a clue about how to run business or anything. And so I worked at Macca's, but the logistical side of running a kitchen, which was a Bunnings marquee, was not there. So we all had to figure it out on our own. So I'd set up everything in the backyard and rearrange it, trying to theorize this and that. But when it came to actually trading, we started off all right, but we'd gotten overwhelmed by the amount of people that turned out. And so this was, once again, thanks to friends and family, I think we'd sold 250 burgers on our first ever day and gained 400 followers on our first launch of the Instagram. And that was just all organic, just people in the community that just wanted to show me some love, which I'm grateful for. Shout out to you guys. And so one of the times was towards the end of the night, people were waiting, I think, an hour. We were all flustered, finished, overwhelmed. We had orders here. It was just so inefficient. We'd be writing orders on the boxes and losing receipts. And then one of my cousins comes. He wasn't working with us. He'd just come to visit and grab a burger. He's like, how you guys going? I'm like, yeah, not good. And he's like, how many orders you got? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, how many burgers you got left? I'm like, I'm not sure. And then it clicked to me. I'm like, all right, we need to count how many orders we've got and how many burgers left, because this is going to get very rough. And so I got him to count all the slips, and he's like frantically looking through each one, tallying. Turns out we'd oversold 30 more burgers than what we already had. And so my heart dropped, where I was like, all right. And we sell people in line as well. So the first thing you had to do was look at everyone in line, in the eye, tell them, sorry guys, we're sold out. People that had come out of their way on their Sunday evening to come and support me, I had to turn them all away, send them back home without a burger or even a pack of chips. And that was after waiting in line for, let's say, around half an hour. And so now I had to deal with the people who I've already taken their money, but they haven't gotten their burgers and they look like they won't get their burgers. And so this is what I did. I called my mum. I'm like, all right, mum, I've got a bit of an issue. And I sent her and my auntie to go grab more buns from Woolies and Coles and some more burger patties. Yeah. And so these weren't even our burger patties. These were just Coles store-bought. And this was, so right now we'd never do this in the business. We've got standards, this is never gonna happen. But at that time, I was just panicking so much. I'm like, we gotta get these customers their food. And so, we ended up surviving, but it was a very questionable evening with times where we've broken a lot of standards that we wouldn't go near nowadays, and very, very rough. And another time as well was we kept selling out every week back when you had that marquee. I think it was hard to estimate stock, but it was a bit of a wild time. And so once we'd actually run out of burger boxes, and so we'd realized this was another, let's say, 20 burgers to go. And so once again, I'm like, all right, damn, do we have any foil to wrap them in, Five Guys style? Nothing, we're searching. Eventually, we ended up having nothing to serve them in. And so we served the burgers on little napkins. And so it was the most awkward and soul-crushing thing to, once again, a customer who's come out of their way to show their support and try your burgers. They've probably seen you on TikTok. Oh yeah, that's awesome. And I'm here getting them a burger like it's a 5-year-old's birthday party on a napkin. And I think we did get a bad comment on TikTok after that, but I was like, I'll cop that.
Yeah.
It's very rough. So there's a lot of times like that, and many more in between. We've had gas shot off at the trailer and people wait an extra 40 minutes. Sometimes we'd be overwhelmed by the turnout and sell out at 7 o'clock when we're meant to run till 10. There's a lot of mishaps and I don't know, errors that we've made on the way, but we're still here. And so that's a bit of word of encouragement to anyone who's looking to start. Everything that you think will go wrong, and everything that you don't think will go wrong.
Yes.
But if you just keep going, you should be right.
That's so good. That's so true. And in those moments of chaos, of course, now that we look back and we can connect the dots and you're like, of course, it all makes sense. Was there a moment in that chaos where you're like, I gotta stop. I gotta get back to the accounting?
Oh, no, never.
Never?
Because accounting just wasn't, I would have done it if that was the only thing to do, because like you said, like referring to my dad, you just got to get the job done.
Yeah.
But now that I had a taste and seeing the potential of TikTok and social media and the business, it was just so much more liberating to do it myself. So I could have worked much easier, working my 40 hours and pretty awesome salary as well, compared to, I guess, everything else out there. And I think I would have been 20 at the time. And it would have been great, work-life balance and everything, but that fulfillment was just not there. And once you get a taste of what things can be, to go back and just have that linger in the mind and eat at you just wasn't on. So at that time, it was just moving too fast as well for me to pause and think, oh, I've got to stop this. It just didn't even occur to me. Now, sometimes I get those thoughts, but that's just the mind playing at you, as with anything.
Yes.
You know, you go for a workout and you just want to go home and eat a bag of chips, but that's what I chalk it down to. So now the thoughts do come. That's because things are a bit more paced, but back then,
momentum.
Momentum, that's the one. So you couldn't have stopped.
It's so true and so important. And the pause there for the audience is one of the most important things is, in business, I talk about this at nauseam, is around pace, but the pace then builds that momentum, and then you feel rather than you having to push shit up a hill, it's almost dragging you. It's almost like a dragging force, and at the end of the day, there's nothing better than having that camaraderie with your family that you get to kind of laugh oh my God, we served burgers on napkins. That's so good.
Yeah, so many moments like that. And that's a thing as well where I didn't have to force myself to get out of bed on 3 hours sleep because I was up last night washing the dishes and then have to get up to prep this morning. I was out of bed because I had to. Now I have to get myself out of bed because I'm not exactly cooking. But back then, like you said, that momentum, you're being dragged. And it's not reluctantly dragged. You're just along for the ride. It's just, awesome. That energy's awesome.
That's cool, man. And now kind of, so the process of to open up the physical store, what are the learning lessons you've gotten from that?
Number one, do my homework on the site before I sign a lease. So I fell for the trap that real estate agents sometimes do. I'm not going to blame the real estate agent. I'm sure there was other people inspecting the property. But I was like, shit, so many other people are inspecting it. I've got to sign. So I signed before figuring out that number one, the building was old, and so it had none of the modern, I guess, up-to-date standards or codes that you need for construction. I signed the lease before realizing the building doesn't have gas, which is another thing. I signed the lease without knowing so many other things that have created so many of these setbacks. So I signed it pretty much almost 2 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Have you been paying rent?
yeah. So big, I guess, error/learning lesson there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. Like, we're almost at the finish line now, and so once we are open, I'm anticipating everything to be smooth. And through all these setbacks, it's not like it's dead time, dead money. Like, while it is money lost, I've used the time to reflect on procedures, processes, and really optimize things and hone them in. Where if we opened a year ago, year and a half ago, 6 months ago, if we'd opened then, we wouldn't have had the same consistency that we do now, wouldn't have had the same processes, and things would have been much more rougher. And so now I feel like at a point where if we open, things are good to go. Whereas before, we had a different meat supplier who wasn't as consistent, and if we pushed them to do the volumes that we have now, it would have been very rough. So things have been optimized, and even just changing designs of the shop as we've gone along.
Yeah.
So,
what does volume look like for you these days?
in terms of meat, probably let's say around 300 kilos a week. Yeah.
300 kilos a week.
Maybe a bit more, I think. Yeah.
Wow. Out of the one large
Out of one
truck.
food truck, yeah.
So there must be a line still to this day.
Yeah. So things are still like going awesome. I'm only taking a backseat because I've just got an awesome team in place.
Yeah, wow.
Where I hired one of my old managers from Macca's, funnily enough, and he's like running the show.
Yes.
People, he jokes about it. I don't believe him, but everyone says that he looks like me, and I just don't take it. But yeah, because he's there 5 days a week, just running things so perfectly. That's where things are just good, and I get to focus on other things.
Wow.
But yeah, things are still going awesome. We're still growing quarter by quarter, funnily enough.
Fantastic.
And that's through, I guess, increased sales, increased customers, being smarter with the menu, introducing new variations.
Yes.
I'm not one to put everything on the menu. I like the menu simple, concise, and specialize in what we do.
Yes.
But in terms of, I guess, variations that align with the brand, we're doing well. So yeah, we're still growing quarter on quarter, which is good.
Awesome.
And it's always a threat, social media,
Yes.
as volatile as it is, you've got fads, you've got awesome products that are backed by influencers, and people are quick to discern which is which, if it's legit or not. And so one of the main comments that we get is it worth the hype? Thankfully, a lot of people do say yes. Some people, they don't, which is fair enough. But yeah, we're still doing so well. And a great combination of people who've come from TikTok or just regulars. Some people who don't even know me come past. And that's a pretty good thing to see, because I sometimes do doubt myself. It's like, is this just a TikTok business? But when I've got like locals who don't even know who I am, like I'll rock up to the food truck, I'll be like, hey everyone, and then they were like, who's this weirdo? So that's a good thing, where it's like, all right, the business has got its own legs.
That's sick. That's so good. And so like, I love hearing that, because what I'm hearing is just like above and beyond that TikTok is like, you have started a business, you've had to curate a team, you've had to create standards. Like, how did you go about getting, because I can see you're incredibly passionate about those burgers, but how did you get to instill that in your team and in your business to be able to hold that standard to where they're like, who's this Chebbo guy? I just want my good burger.
Awesome question. I'll use an example of a new hire. So Nepalese guy, his name's Rohan. I've hired him, he's an international student. And so he'd been at other burger places where he'd go in, do his job, leave, didn't really care. But what clicked with him, where he's now gone above and beyond for us, I didn't have to tell him to, I didn't have to ask him to, but one of the main things he'd mentioned to my main manager that I've got there was that one day he'd arrived on the shift and he saw me in the big bin, jumping on the bin to like squash it down and like put my rubbish in. And so he'd asked the manager, like, what's he doing? And he's like, just doing the bins, what's wrong with that? But he'd really appreciated that side of me where like, I owned the business, I could have got any other person to jump in the bin and make room for other bags, but he saw me doing it with like on my own accords. And I think it's 100% just the culture that we have. So other jobs definitely could give more extras or pay more. I'm not saying we don't pay well, we pay awesome. We have like an awesome workplace, but other jobs can do so many things better than us. But what holds it together, that glue, is just the culture where we're all having a laugh with each other, we're all friends, we're all just getting along, I think as well, part of that is having this awesome culture, but protecting that culture as well.
Sick.
So if someone doesn't align with it, like a friend group or anything else, you just don't let them in. And so that way you're keeping it so pure and just awesome. And people, just think of the team now, they're all just on board for the mission because my enthusiasm, the manager's enthusiasm, all of our willingness to just get things done. And I always tell the team as well, it's like, you're working here, you could be here for another year, 6 months, 10 years, whatever it is, but I want to develop you the most you can because that's going to serve us. And then eventually when you do leave, or if you do leave, it's going to serve you in the future. So just bringing out the best in yourself. And that's, I guess, part of working, that comes from working at like places where the work culture hasn't been the best, where I've felt underappreciated. Thinking back to like Bunnings, confession time, like I'd spend 2 hours on my 1 hour break. So I'd gone from someone, there was actually a lady there who complained to managers because of how like lazy I was. And so I went from that to a year later working like 90 hours per week and think of the why, it's just the purpose. And so I brought it out of myself where I was extremely lazy at Bunnings to then working the 90 hours plus, I'm not even calculating. So figuring out that formula and applying it to your team to bring out the best in them.
You've hit the nail on the absolute head. The purpose and the mission, and it's like finding that, and it's like to your point there, like you might be here for a year, let's get you to do the best you can, it's going to serve both of us, is really important because that might, the end state for that team member, that might not be their mission and purpose for life, and that's okay. And then and by helping an individual find theirs, then you intimately know the difference between the 2 hour and then the 90-hour work week. That's really cool. I have a rogue question to ask on a podcast, but I'm a little bit baffled, and so I'm going to do it.
Okay.
How old are you?
23.
I'm kind of mind blown because the way in which you talk, some of these business lessons that you've shared with me, it's not something that I'd expect from a 23-year-old. And I hope I say that okay, and I can because I started my business at 20, and I'm only 31. It's not like I'm like this old wise man.
We're in the same club.
We're in the same club, but I'm really impressed. Like has there been learning lessons? Has there been someone you're learning from a business sense? Because it's pretty baffling at 23-year-old, if I must say.
First of all, thank you. Second of all, I mean, I've like always had that entrepreneurial spirit, if you want to call it. But I mean, the internet. Nowadays, you got access to like the top however many entrepreneurs in the world. And I mean, this, I guess, mindset doesn't come with its downside. So I'm always feel like I'm not doing enough. Or it's that curse of just always feeling like you're on the back foot. But that burning desire to improve, coupled with the internet where you've got access to all this information and figures and books and podcasts and audio books, it's just all there. And so for myself, whenever I do get comments on my age, I'm like, yeah, but like, why should it be the other way?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to just go out and have fun and everything, but I don't know, I've just got this responsibility now with this platform to just make the most of it. Yeah, I'm 23, but like my dad's still working to this day. And so why don't I work hard now and then have the rest of my life cruisy, set up the passive income streams or set up the business or get acquired, whatever. So that moving forward, sorry, let me reframe it as well. If I always tell myself this and friends as well, if the moment you have kids is the moment that your whole life's going to revolve around them, why not start now before you have the kids?
Yes.
And just make life easier down the track. And so that's another thing, being very family oriented and that kind of thing. I do surrender that once I do have kids, a lot of things are going to shuffle around. But why not just pave the way for it now so that when the time comes to walk down that road, it's already paved. I like that metaphor,
That's good, man. That's awesome. And it's really smart. And never let someone challenge you of the age thing. I'm in awe of it, and I'm impressed by it, and lean into it. It's
100%.
It's something I was almost sad when I turned 31. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, you feel like you're older,
I'm like, I can't lean into the young thing anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. You feel like, I think Logan Paul was like 27 or 28. Like Kylie Jenner, I think is my age. Where it's like, even hearing stories of those people, even though they're in America, they could have rich families or whatever, it's like, if they're doing it, why can't I, you know? And to anyone else young out there, like, it's never been less of an issue, I think, for age. So many resources out there. I tell my little brother all the time, like, if you want some money, just go hit up someone for video editing, learn for an hour or two, and just get $30 a video, whatever it is. There's like so many avenues out there.
Yes. And
like
we're in a land of opportunity.
Yeah.
So where I'd love to kind of round off is we touch on this. There's a couple of words about mission, around like, you use the word acquired. You use the word like, getting to somewhere. Like, what is that somewhere for you? Like, where do you have a view of where you'd like to get things, as big and blue skies it may be?
Yeah, so I do see Chebbo's Burgers as having awesome legs as a business, where we've got an awesome culture, procedures, processes, flavors, brand overall, where it's able to be scaled to a point where we could have one all over the country and internationally. And that's something I do wish to do, not from the money side, but just as a way to scale an awesome burger joint. Like, I look at Shake Shack and what they're doing. I love their burgers, and reading up on Danny Meyer's history and the way he built things. I want to sort of do that for my own, I guess, mission and business. And so Chebbo's Burgers, if in the future that's able to have its own massive empire, that'd be awesome. But then on the flip side of that, once that's made enough money, I want to take some of that money, put it into like a nice restaurant, and lean into like the dining side of things.
Really?
Yeah, I never used to be a dining guy. I was always like kebab every time like it was time to eat out with the boys. But yeah, getting into this space where I've now read like Unreasonable Hospitality and so many other books in like the fine dining scene. Have you seen The Bear?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just so awesome. And just learning how to cook myself, mind you. Yeah. So I knew how to cook burgers, but I didn't know how to cook anything else. My mom would not let me in the kitchen.
Right.
So just now delving into space, it's awesome, where it's such an outlet for creativity and food, which is like awesome. So yeah, maybe a restaurant on my own where I could just have a laugh and muck around and create some awesome stuff. But we'll see.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. I really appreciate today. I really appreciate you coming here, and I'm glad the Philly cheesesteak went well. I think that the part that I think the if not the audience I've resonated with today is around there's many more layers to Chebbo. There's many more layers, and it's really, really cool to see, man. Like, I can see the passion in you for your craft, and I think that translates to, not everybody listening is going to want to open up a burger joint, right? But there might be business or in their career. So it's like, you've got that passion for your craft. Yeah. Then there's the hard work and the resilience. It's the ability to move forward when times get tough and kind of almost just have a laugh at it. There's some really challenging times we talk there, but they're just passed off as a laugh. And you have an awesome mindset. Man, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nav. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, brother.